everybody. It is your favorite day of the week, another day of soap opera love in the afternoon, where we talk about your favorite soaps, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hello, Jordan Hudson.
Hi, Les. How are you?
I'm good. After last week, I am fabulous. Last week was kind of a page out of a soap opera for me.
Yes, I was very we had just talked the day before, and the next day I was like, what's going on?
So what happened is, so for those of you who don't know, I am not only a podcaster, I am also an actor, a comedic storyteller, and I do a lot of live performances. And so I fly a lot up until the pandemic, of course, when all the rest of my gigs for the year got canceled. I fly at least a minimum of once a month, at least. And so the past few times that I flew, I would get this really big, huge pain in my left leg, and like excruciating pain. And so when I first brought it up to my doctor, well, actually, I had a doctor. My doctor was moving to a different city. So as I was waiting for my new doctor, I had an interim doctor. So I tell that doctor, hey, because I feel my thigh, and it felt like a little bump, right? So I go to the interim doctor, and I'm like, hey, I have this bump in my thigh, and he feels it, and he's like, that's not a bump, that's your leg muscle, this is nothing, don't worry about it, it's nothing, it's your leg muscle. But the bump didn't go away. So when I got my new doctor, I told my new doctor, and the new doctor felt my thigh, and the new doctor's like, yeah, there's definitely something there. So the doctor sent me to a dermatologist. So I kept on, so this was around the beginning of the pandemic, and the thought of going to a doctor's office really freaked me out. Because this is like when, we were on lockdown, and they didn't know really how it was, they didn't know how contagious it was. And so I kept on having these dermatologist appointments, but because I was flipped out about going to the doctor, I kept on pushing them back until finally the dermatologist is like, you can't, you got to come. You can't reschedule your appointment anymore. So I reluctantly go to the dermatologist with my mask, and I'm totally freaked out, as you can imagine, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are these days. So I go to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist feels it for 1 second, and she's like, I think you might need to go see a regular doctor, because you might need general surgery, because I'm afraid that if it's too close to the muscle, that would be a problem. So I go to I get a surgeon, right? The surgeon is like, oh yeah, it's just a little bump. It'll be no big deal. We'll have you in there. You'll be up and running in a couple of days. It's gonna be fine. Well, dun, dun, dun. I go to the appointment. I go to get it removed. We have an MRI first. It's not a bump. It's a tumor. Did that sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger? So they find out that I have this tumor in my leg. So what turned out to be it's going to be a little minor surgery, turned out to be a major surgery. And so now I'm all laid up. So yeah, they found it was benign, thank God, because it's all of a sudden I go from thinking, oh, this is a little bump being taken out, to, oh gosh, this might be cancer. So now I had this major surgery, and now I'm pretty much down. I have a bunch of stitches in my leg, so I'm pretty much down for at least a month, possibly 3. And so, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a time to be down, and you can't do much anyway because of the pandemic and everything. So, try to look at the bright side.
And actually, I am kind of looking at it that way. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I am kind of looking at it that way because literally, like, I am supposed to walk a little bit. He wants me to walk a little bit a day, but basically, for the most part, I have to sit my ass down, and I'm being forced to relax, and I'm actually kind of leaning into it now and just kind of, get like hanging out, I'm reading more, I'm picked up a couple of hobbies. And so it is like, it's forcing me to relax, because even though we were in the lockdown, I still wasn't relaxing, so so I'm just leaning into it at this point.
Well, I mean, I'm like you, I'm the worst patient, because it's the few times where I've had illnesses where I've had to like do what you're doing and just rest and stuff. I for somebody like me who's so active and always on the move, it can drive me crazy. I mean, listening to your story though just was like a big trigger for me. Just because I've dealt with my own cancer scare a couple of years ago, and I've had family members that have dealt with it. So my heart goes out to you. I'm so happy that you're fine and that you're safe, because it's scary. It really is scary. I mean, and the only thing that I could tell you guys out there is that if you even suspect, go get checked up. And if you have a doctor that tells you, oh, let's just wait. No, you don't. There's no reason to wait at this point. We know better now. I still get very infuriated. I recently had a friend just like you. She discovered a lump and stuff, and I could not believe that the doctor told her, no, I think it's nothing. Let's just wait it out. And I'm like, no, Chris, you need to. Oh, I said her name. She doesn't listen anyway. I was like, Chris, you need to go get checked up. I said, I said, of course I want it to be nothing, but it is better to be sure. And
right.
Because God forbid it is something, you have wasted time where they could have been. So, it's important that if you discover anything like that, I know it's scary, but you gotta go get it checked out. You've got to go get it checked out, and because situations like this, time is of the essence. It really is.
The doctor that told me it was nothing, he had an attitude about it too.
That's what I'm saying. There is a lot of doctors who are that God complex, who can be very arrogant and just, they feel like, so you gotta, you know your body. People, you know your body. Listen to your body. You know your body. If something's not feeling right, it's off. And if a doctor tells you, oh, no, then you go to another doctor and you keep going until you find out what the heck is wrong with you.
Right.
And, there's been a couple of times in my lifetime where I've had some serious health issues. And, the two of the times I was very fortunate to have doctors who were very, very proactive, and I was saved. Because I literally almost died twice. And then the third time, it was a matter of continuing to keep finding a doctor until they could figure out what was wrong with me. And it's scary. It's really scary. So listening to your story, I was just like, ooh, triggers. But I am glad you're okay.
Thank you.
And segueing into health, for those of you who don't know, Judy Evans, who is Adrian and Bonnie on Days of Our Lives, and who played Paulina on Another World, and Beth, the original Beth, on Guiding Light. And she was on As the World Turns. She played some character with long hair that was keeping Holden hostage for a couple episodes. Anyway, she was released from the hospital. For those of you who don't know, she was diagnosed with the coronavirus, but they did release her. She's had it rough. This has been a rough year for Judy Evans. So our prayers are going out to you, Judy, that you continue on the road to recovery.
Yes.
And, and I just, when I saw that, I was like, thank God, because I couldn't deal with anything bad more with her. You know what I mean? Like, It's just like, this woman this woman talk about people living a soap opera in real life. That's what she's been going through this year. So it's like she needs a break. Okay.
Oh, she so needs a break.
I'm so, you know, my heart goes out to her. My prayers are going out to her. Oh God.
And the thing is,
so yeah,
she seems like she's a nice lady too. She really does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I honestly think I don't think I ever met her during my paparazzi years. That's weird. I think somehow I always missed her. Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't think I never had a picture. I don't think I ever met her in person. That's weird. That's weird. Because for those of you who know, when I was a little wee lad, very little and very wee, I was a paparazzi. I used to take pictures of soap stars and sell them to soap magazines and to fans and stuff. And I mean, I honestly started out because I was a big soap fan and I wanted to meet them. You know, when I found that they were in Manhattan, I was like, you know, my parents were crazy for letting me at that young age go down there, but it was a different time. The city was a lot more safer, believe it or not. So, you know, and I wound up meeting this incredible group of people. And then people were like, oh, you know, I was at a fan club event and somebody was like, oh my God, I love that picture. I forgot who it was. And they were just like, would you sell it to me? And I was like, hell yeah. That's what negatives are for. Hello. So, you know, it's a little side business and stuff. And then it wound up becoming a big business when I started selling to like soap magazines. I have pictures that were printed in Soap Opera Weekly, Soap Opera Update and stuff. And it was really cool. And a lot of the soap stars loved my photos. There were a few who were really just big fans of my photos. And they always wanted copies and stuff. So that was really awesome. I mean, my favorite was Robin Strasser. I was actually at the studio when they were shooting this, you know, and at that time there were a lot of fans who were always outside the soap studios. They were shooting this episode where Dorian was in prison and she got into some kind of like food fight with the inmates.
Oh,
and Robin came out. Yeah, with Tiny in them and everything. So Robin came out like after they filmed it because she was hoping somebody would be out there to take a picture. And I was the lucky one that was there. I think I was by myself. And Robin was just like, I want you to make like 20 something copies for my fan club thing for things and stuff. And I was like, yeah, of course. You know, and of course you never charge soap stars. It's like, hey, that's free for them. You know, I'm like, I was just honored that, you know, she liked the picture and she wanted it, you know, copied and stuff. And yeah, it was fun. I actually had a lot of fun. You know, it was a really great way to grow up. Honestly. I mean, I got to meet like so many of them, and it was always fun sneaking into the Emmys. Me and my friends with the group that I would hang out with, we were all relatively the same age. It was really bizarre. You know, now I look back and I'm like, God, it was bizarre. But we used to like sneak into the daytime Emmys. It was so awesome. There was one year where we were dancing with Victoria Rao to George Michael's Freedom. On the stage.
On the stage?
This was like after the after event thing. And it was just like, Victoria Rao was just so cool and stuff. And my favorite was when Susan Lucci remembered us from the studio and had us sit down at the table because the guards were going to throw us out.
Oh, see, I love her.
And Susan Lucci, let me tell you something. Susan Lucci is one of the most nicest people ever. And this was when I was really, like, I was a kid. When I was an adult, and my first day working at All My Children, I think I told this story in the Private Podcast, but it's a good story, so I'm going to tell it again because Susan Lucci I want everybody to know how amazing Susan Lucci is. My first day, the first soap opera I ever did extra work on was on Loving. And then the next one was One Life to Live. And then Guiding Light. And, of course, the one that I really wanted to do was All My Children. So I finally got the call to work on All My Children. I was, like, so nervous and excited, and a million things were running through my head. And I'll never forget it because it was Sarah Michelle Gellar's last day. I was actually there. Sarah Michelle Gellar's last day as Kendall was my first day working there. And I worked at All My Children up until they left. All My Children was the one soap opera that I was constantly doing extra work on, partly because it was the show where the crew treated us with such respect. You don't understand. Like I always felt like I was part of the All My Children family. Like the crew, and I'm not talking about the cast, I'm talking about the crew. They treated us extras with such respect. The stage managers were so nice. Penny, Fritz, Rusty, people in wardrobe were always so incredible. And you know, I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing, my experience there. So All My Children, I never turned down. I like I said, I worked there till they moved. It was the saddest day when they moved. But my very first day working there, me and this other extra, his name was Robert, we were both playing orderlies. He was white, I was Latin, and we were like, you know, so young and so green, and we're like, oh my God. So we didn't know where to go and everything. So we went down the hall to wardrobe. They told us, go down to wardrobe and get your orderly uniform. So we did. And then as we're coming back to where the extras have like the dressing room, who turned the corner but Miss Susan Lucci?
La Lucci.
With very little makeup. I don't think she even had makeup. And I don't know if that was part of her costume that day or if she just was walking around, but she had this gorgeous negligee with like I don't know what they call that, like a little coat thing that goes, the long coat thing that goes over the negligee, so she had the whole thing, and she's working there. And I don't know, I guess she could see that we were like two deers, caught in headlights, like we were newbies. So she just looked at us and she's like, welcome to Pine Valley. And she walked right by us, and we gagged. We were so gay. We both looked at each other like,
like, probably would have fallen to the floor and started crying.
We were, oh my God, we were gagging. You don't understand. We were gagging so hard. And I was like, if there was any soap star that, like I would be okay with them saying like, fuck you, get out of my way, it'd be her, and I'd be okay with it, because she's Susan Lucci. But that was how she was. And the thing is, she didn't remember me because there were several years between when I stopped doing the paparazzi and when I started doing the extra work. I was always afraid that they would make the connection, but nobody really did. And I mean, my look changed too. I mean, I grew up. But it was that made my fucking day. I was like, oh, excuse me, I cursed. But I mean, Susan Lucci was amazing. She was amazing. She was always extremely great on set. I mean, this woman was, I'll say this. I knew we were going to be getting out there early if Susan was working that day, because I never saw her go up on a line. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them at All My Children were like that. Debbie and Darnell were like that. Pros, like one take, that's all it took. Marcy Walker, same thing, who played Liza Colby. David Canary, oh my God. All My Children was like, the vets on All My Children were no joke.
Right.
It would be like 3, 2, 1, and like the tears are already coming out. Like it's like it was amazing too. And that was the thing that people don't realize for me. Because soap operas were the only place that I would do extra work. I tried doing extra work and under 5 work on nighttime shows. I hated it. I did The Good Wife, hated it.
Wait, no, I have a Good Wife question. Did you ever see them fight? Because didn't the two actresses like hate each other?
I never saw any. I never saw, but there was definitely tension. I will say this: the set that had the most tension was One Life to Live.
Who was fighting with who?
There was it wasn't even so much that people were fighting. You just knew that people did not get along. Like they would like literally pass each other in the hallway and not say anything. There was always a lot of tension at the One Life to Live set. It's one I told you. I think I said last podcast that there was a stage manager at One Life to Live the early years when I worked there that was very racist and misogynistic towards the extras and under 5s of color, and he made it very difficult. But like I said, there was a lot of tension with the cast. There was definitely certain cast members that didn't like each other. There was definitely a lot of tension. I will say that there was one actress and her then boyfriend, they're not together anymore, who was, I'm sorry, I have to say it. She was a bitch. She just basically was a bitch.
I think I know who you're talking about.
And she said something one time about one of the nicest guys on the set, and I hurt her. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it because he is like extremely nice. And she just, she's just, I don't know what her issue was with him, but my whole thing was like, I don't think it had anything to do with him. I just think that's just her personality. She's a bitch.
Right.
She's just not a nice person. And neither was the actor who was her boyfriend on and off the show at the time.
Right.
And so they so yeah, there were definitely times like that. There were definitely moments where certain people have prima donna moments. I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but somebody on my children who's no longer with us. Like I can honestly say, as much as I loved working on All My Children, I can't say that the cast was always, the majority of the times the cast was very, very friendly and very fun. It all depended on the years that I was working there. It depended on who the cast members were. Right. There were definitely periods where the cast was great, and then there were periods where, it was like certain people just, I will say that the set that I worked on that I definitely felt was like family down was Guiding Light.
Wait, speaking of which.
Oh, I'm gonna cry! Oh my God, I'm gonna cry!
I know. Remember, and like you knew that you were like in for like it's like strap yourself in. Here we go.
I tried. You don't understand how much I miss Guiding Light. Like and I gotta tell you, Guiding Light. That was the first group of people that Alan Lochner, for those of you who don't know, Alan Lochner is a guy he used to work for Procter & Gamble, and he was also at one point, I think, the fan club president for Guiding Light and Aswell, whatever. He's the one who's been responsible for getting all these reunions of soap operas from everywhere but the first one that he did, the first group of people was Guiding Light, and that's the first one that I saw. And as I was listening to them talk, I was crying because I worked there a lot too, and everything that they said was true. That cast loved each other. Like, they all got along. They were a family, and they were so much fun. And it was a great set to work on because, you know what? At the end of the day, they didn't take themselves that seriously. They took the work seriously, obviously. But it was like this, this reality of like, you know what? At the end of the day, we're not surgeons. It's not like somebody's life's on the line. You know what I mean? It's a soap opera. We go out there and we have fun and we do it to the best of our abilities. And, and they were just always, I never felt any tension there. If anybody didn't like, they never showed it. Everybody was just always so friendly. The cast, the crew, always to the very, even at the bitter end, which I will say that a lot of people did not like Ellen Wheeler as the executive producer, and they were very vocal about it. But the thing that was great was that you never saw that on the set. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if somebody was saying something negative, it was in a kind of like joking kind of matter, like, yeah, we know what the drill is, ha ha ha, but,
right.
But there was never, and they had reason to be, because I got to tell you, those last years were hard doing, I actually did work with them when they went to PPAC. I think it was PPAC, that was what it was called. Yeah. It was hard. It was really, really rough. But again, it was fun because, you know what? At the end of the day, they made it fun. Yeah, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't what we were used to. But you know what? This is what we have, and we're gonna make lemonade out of lemons. That's basically their attitude. And you never saw them being anything but professional. I never saw them being anything but giving 100%. The Guiding Light cast is freaking awesome. They really are the most beautiful group of actors. Every time you see them talking about each other, and they're not bullshitting. They really aren't. They keep in touch with each other. They've worked on other projects with each other. Yeah. I mean, that cast. Oh my God, I miss it. I miss Guiding Light so much as working on there, and as a fan, I miss it. Plus, they have Puerto Ricans on it, so right. I love them for that.
It's so funny though, because remember how right before we started recording, Jordan's like, what do you do? What were you doing when you were waiting for me? And I was like, oh, I was playing around with something. That's what I was playing around with. I was watching different soap opera openings on YouTube.
I thought I was the only crazy person to do.
Okay, like remember that. Okay, so let's play Name That Tune. Okay, so which soap was this from? Wait, wait, here we go. Name That Tune.
Oh my God, that's a tough one.
I'll give you a hint. One of their storylines, and the reason why I started watching it is because they totally ripped off the Poseidon Adventure.
Poseidon Adventure?
Yes. Okay, I'll just tell you. It was Sunset Beach. Remember when Aaron Spelling had a daytime show?
Oh my God. You know, oh my God. That's like the one show I never watched. Oh my God, that's why the theme didn't resonate with me. Oh my God. I think I heard that theme like...
Of course you remember this one.
Another World? What are you kidding? That's easy. They say the theme. Oh my God, Another World.
That's how much of a geek I am. Okay, I never watched Another World, but I like the theme song, so I watch it for the theme song and change it to One Life to Live.
And it's funny because I gotta tell you, that's not even my favorite theme song. The theme that I love the opening credits, the whole crayon thing, that I love. But I mean, I didn't dislike it. I loved it when it came out. But my favorite, the Another World theme that will always be the Another World theme for me will always be the one right before it was the instrumental. Mm-hmm. And I used to live for that theme. I like the minute I would hear it, because that was another, to me, Another World's like golden era. You know what I mean? But that was a popular freaking theme. Crystal Gale, and I forgot who was the guy that sang it with her.
Johnny something. Johnny Miller?
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
And then remember this one? Oh, sorry. No, what were you going to say?
No, go ahead. Play the next one.
Okay, here we go. Wait.
One Life to Live.
Yes.
See, that's my favorite One Life to Live opening.
Oh, me too.
Even though I do love the instrumental they have right before they turn to that one, that instrumental where you used to be like,
oh, this one, wait, this one. Wait, here we go. Oh, okay, wait. Okay, that was from the 60s. I think, so this was the very first one. But I think
not the very first one.
But I think there's another one coming. Here we go, wait. Here we go. Let's see. Wait.
Yes, that one. You gotta understand, as much as I love songs with lyrics and stuff, there's something about the instrumental that's always so, to me, classic soap operas. Like the All My Children with the opening of the book, you can't beat that. You can't touch that. Like, that's incredible to me.
Right.
Are you there?
And then of course,
yeah, that is. Yeah. But the very first one they did right after that, I love.
Okay, let's see if you remember this one. Oh, well, see, I messed it up.
You messed it up.
I messed it up.
Oh.
Wait, let's see. I didn't know they had a song where they sang.
Yeah, they have lyrics. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
No, let me tell you about the Edge of Night. The Edge of Night had the opening instrumental, right? Yeah. And then certain episodes, when they did the end credits, they would actually, because it was sometimes the end credits were longer. That's when they would play the song with lyrics. Are you kidding? The Edge of Night's one of my favorite theme songs. It seems as though the harmony is hard to find. Oh my God, I love this.
And then of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't play this one. Here we go. I would be remiss if I didn't play this next one. Here we go.
Where is it?
Here we go. Wait. Oh, wait. Oh, oops. Wait, hold on. Oh, wait, no, not that. Okay, wait. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Damn it, I had it. Okay, let's try this again. Let's try this again. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Wait. All right.
Ryan, no!
Ryan's home.
Oh my God! I'm gonna cry! Oh my God!
I keep on forgetting that, Kate Mulgrew. They just said, I was like, wait a minute, that's Kate Mulgrew. And I'm like, oh my God, that's right. That's where she got her start.
You know, it was funny because I was just thinking about Marg Helgenberger, who was one of the Siobhans. And isn't it uncanny that she played Siobhan 100 years ago and she looks better now than she did back then?
Seriously.
Like, she's aging backwards. She was literally like 20s. I think she was like 19 or something when she played Siobhan. She was obviously much younger, but she it wasn't that she looked old, but she carried herself like a mature woman, not a young lady. And sometimes I forget because now she's on All Rise and I'm like, girl, Ryan's Hope was like 150 years ago. How the hell do you look so good? Like, she looks great.
Right.
Yeah, like, it's a hard, like, I'm like, I look at her on All Rise and I'm like, damn, girl, you,
Okay, here's another one.
So, okay. What? Is it playing?
Can you hear it? Oh, wait.
No.
Wait, let's try this again. I'm going to try this again. Okay, here we go. Wait. Take two. It was Loving. But it was
I can't hear it. I could barely hear. Which line? It was one of the obvious. Was it the Johnny Mathis one?
Yes. Okay, let's
I'm
try
right
this.
here to give you loving through it all.
Oh, this was the other one when they in the 90s, when they got rid of all the theme songs. Okay, and then...
That's the loving one?
Yeah, that was one where it was just like pictures.
That's the one that I was trying to remember that I was telling you that Emmerdale reminded me of.
Here we go, wait.
Oh, I love the Jeffrey Osborne version.
And this is when Angie was on it.
Yes. Oh, they should have never got rid of that theme. That theme was the bomb. You had Jeffrey Osborne doing your theme.
Here we go.
Treasure now and forever.
With L-O-V-I-N-G.
Love it. Work. Oh my God, this is my most memories. I want my soap operas back. I want to be watching Ryan's Hope all the way down to Edge of Night and turning to the other channels for the other soap. Darn it.
I
used to watch a lot of soap.
You know, it was like, that was back when watching a soap opera, it was like an experience. You'd hear the theme song, it's like, okay, strap in, here we go.
Yes, but it's not even just daytime. Nighttime shows don't even have themes anymore. It's so sad. I mean, themes that's part of a show. You know what I mean? I mean, what would Buffy the Vampire be without that freaking opening? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't understand this knocking out theme songs. You know?
But you know what I'm noticing? The streaming shows like a Netflix and Hulu, those have theme songs.
Really? Which ones? Because not the ones that I'm watching.
Like
that's not true. That's not true.
Like Schitt's Creek. Like Schitt's Creek has a theme, like you know it. Schitt's Creek. Have you ever watched Schitt's Creek?
Oh, okay. No, I haven't watched that yet. That's on my list.
You need
everybody.
To watch
I gotta tell you, everybody keeps telling me, and I try to watch the first episode, and I fell asleep on it like 18 times.
This is what you do. Start with season 2, and then after you watch the whole thing, because someone told me this, and this is what I did, and it worked. Because start with season 2, and then after you watch the whole thing, then go back and watch season 1 at the end. Season 2 is way better than season 1. Just try
my sister said the same thing. she's the one who's been pushing me. She really wants me to watch it. She says that I will really love it. And I'm like, okay, all right. I will try. You got to remember, I have like a million shows that I'm watching, but I will try. Now, this is so much fun going down this, and it's almost sad that we have to like recap some of these shows. But
that's right. Like,
we got to recap. I want to start with the easiest one because I think we should work our way from like bad to good. So we're gonna once again, yes, exactly. Once again, we're gonna start with General Hospital because you weren't missing anything if you watched last week. Last week was the final week of the Nurses' Ball, and this is what I realized. I was glad that I didn't watch 2018 because I did not realize that Alexis and Finn were together at some point. That's really pathetic and gross and stupid. I realized that Willow and Chase will never be Kiki and Dylan. Yeah. And why has the Nurses' Ball in the last few years been less about the nurses and performing and more about whatever drama is going on in the hospital? I mean, not in the hospital, but like the rest of the show. Like, it's called the Nurses' Ball, and then there was like one performance the entire episode, and everything else was like people, like the regular show going on. And that's kind of like, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. It should be about the Nurses' Ball. Now, at the end of the week, it did pick up a little bit because it was the 2019 one. So we really got to see Cameron's panty-dropping performance again because Cameron was like, when he sang that song, he was on fire. He was like, that was a panty-dropping performance. Like, everybody was wet watching him. He was excellent. We got to see, yet again, the person who can never, ever do any wrong on General Hospital, Dr. Albrecht. I mean, let's face it, Liesl is everything. Why Frank hasn't signed her to a contract is beyond me. But we got to see her and Franco doing that disco. So I was living for that. I was like, but at least the week is ending with some entertaining stuff. And then I realized that 2019 was not bad for General Hospital because it was when we had the whole Kevin Chamberlain storyline.
Yes.
And Jeannie Francis was brought back, and that's when General Hospital was picking up again.
Yes.
And then what's her name left as head writer, and the boys took over, and the boys don't know what they're doing. Yes. So that was what basically General Hospital was about last week. Now, I will say this, because there's been a debate going on Facebook about Chase, and I gotta say this: I really don't understand. Look, I'm sure he's a sweet guy, I really do, but not only do I not think that he is really cut out for acting, I don't even understand what you women are getting excited about. Honestly, because
they probably excited about.
No, he has no sex appeal whatsoever. He is so like honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I actually thought he was gay at first because he seemed to have like this weird thing whenever he was with women on the show. Like he seemed so awkward about it. And I'm like, he must be gay because he's so awkward around these women. And that's not to say that because I know a lot of gay actors who you would never know they were gay.
Oh yeah, I had a friend at a certain soap who is totally gay, and he was on a certain. I'll tell you when we're done. But he was on a soap. And and totally gay. Yeah,
and you believe the chemistry, you believe everything. I mean, look at Tom. Ooh, we can't say that. I want us to get sued. But it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. Like I just didn't see that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's really bad when the 16-year-old boys have more swagger and more heat than you do. I mean, Cameron and what's his face, the one that Oscar.
Yeah,
they have more heat. They brought more heat to the table, more swagger than this grown ass man. Like honestly, I don't get him at all. I just want him gone. I really want. Like, he is annoying to me at this point. Like, the only time that I've seen any life in him is when they put him with Brooklyn. Uh-huh. Anytime that he has scenes with Brooklyn, it's like there's like a sign of life in him. But I don't know. And the other thing I was thinking of, Dr. Albrecht, Liesl. I wish that Bradley Bell would steal her from General Hospital and make her like Sally Spectra's sister.
Yeah.
She would. I was thinking about that this weekend. She would fill that void that is missing in Bold and the Beautiful. And I'm not talking about her. No, I'm talking about her dead ass sister. Because I know that they try. What was Patrika Darbo's character? Like she was like her like second cousin or something like that.
She was her sister. Because Sally was Sally Spectra's aunt, and so I think Patrika Darbo was the new Sally Spectra, Sally Jr. Patrika Darbo was Sally Jr.'s either mother or I think she was her grandmother or her mother. I think it was her grandmother.
But was she Sally Spectra's sister? No,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. She was Sally.
Oh,
Spectra's
she was.
Sister. Yeah.
Well, they need to take the actress who I don't know. I should know her real name because I love her so much. There was a time where I knew everybody's real name and character's name like that. I mean, not anymore. But Bradley Bell, if you're smart, you would steal her away and make her Sally Spectra's sister. Can you see her on that show? Turning it out as Sally Spectra, going after all those fucking rooms on Bold and the Beautiful? I would live. I would live. I would live to see her in Quinn.
She could be Sally Spectra.
There you go. I'll buy it. It's been enough years. It's time. She deserves better because General Hospital does not treat her right at all. They write her off and then bring her back when they need her, and she's like one of the saving graces of that show. She really is. Like she literally can do no wrong. If I was writing that show, I would have so many storylines for her. She would be a major focal point on my version of General Hospital. I live for her.
Because Sally Spectra's off screen, like she moved to an island or something, but she's not dead on the show.
Are you sure about that?
I believe, because I remember, and one of my times that I was watching it, and I'm Googling it right now to see, because I remember like they were like, Sally moved away, she's on an island with a bunch of men. So is the character of Sally Spectra?
Well, even if they killed her off, just like Days of Our Lives, bring her back.
True.
I'm
on Wikipedia. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Reception, storylines. So Sally last appeared on screen in November of 2006, shortly after Darlene Conley died. For a long time after Darlene Conley's death, nothing was explained about Sally's absence except a mention by CJ that she had been ill. But I don't think she died.
Oh, that's horrible. It's hard. It's great that they never killed her off. It seems then even more reason why you should recast and bring her back. There's been enough years, and I just we'll segue now, being that we're talking about Bold and the Beautiful. Let's segue to Bold and the Beautiful because Bold and the Beautiful go.
And one more thing.
Go ahead.
So it says exit. Darlene Conley died in 2007. And Bold and Beautiful gave Sally a happy ending, explaining that she was living off screen in the south of France, surrounded by hunky cabana boys.
They need to bring her back because Bold and the Beautiful. For those of you who don't know, Bold and the Beautiful and Y&R have been unlike General Hospital. They've been showing us real classic episodes. Bold and the Beautiful showed us the very first episode on Monday, and I got to tell you, it was rough. I actually watched the first episode.
Right.
And rewatching it, it did not stand the test of time. I was like, it was very rough. There was a lot of, obviously first-time actors. I mean, right. that first Thorne, God bless him, he was extremely beautiful. I mean, he wasn't as bad as I thought. I remember him, though. I think everybody was a little hard on him. He wasn't as bad as I remembered. I remember thinking, like, yeah. But he wasn't that bad. Ron Moss was very, very over-the-top stiff. Like, it was just really weird. And Catherine Kelly Lang was another one who was just, like, so green.
Right.
It was really funny to watch. I mean, the one thing was that I actually forgot that Stephen Shortridge, who back in the day at that time was like a really like Like, he was always like, all the girls were screaming, the women were screaming over him. He replaced John Travolta in Welcome Back, Kotter. When John Travolta left, they decided to go the opposite route and create a character totally different than Vinnie Barbarino. And Stephen Shortridge was like, I forgot, I think his name was like Bo or something like that. He was like this Southern guy. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, he was fine as fuck. Yeah. So he was actually on Bold and the Beautiful, and I actually forgot about that. I was like, oh, that's right, Stephen Shortridge. Hello, So it was cute watching that. The next it was a fan favorite week. The next episode they show was Stephanie and Sally
her hair
got drunk. They got drunk and wasted, and I'm sorry, this is why they need to fill that void, because you see, when you have those dames, those women that are just dames, they're broads, you know what I mean? They're ballsy, they literally and when you give them like a ludicrous storyline, because in the hands of anybody else that would have looked kind of like cheesy or pathetic. No, they made it work. Right. I was living for that. They got drunk and wasted.
They were wasted.
They got real. And Sally was trying to help Stephanie get Eric back, and she said, "You just need a makeover." Right. And when she was trying to put that plant on her head to wet her, I was on the floor. And when Susan Flannery slid off the chair, that whole thing, that was worth the price of admission, honestly. I was just like, I could not. And Sally even had this one line. I forgot what she said. She said, down the tube and down the, I don't know, when they were talking about having the drink, it was just perfect. Watching them was like heaven. I was like, this is what soap operas are missing.
Right.
They really, yes. And then another episode was, because they only have 4 episodes last week. Both Y&R and Bold and the Beautiful were preempted one day, and they only showed 4 during the week. Our next episode was a bizarre episode with Daddy Yankee. Now, I'm going to tell you why I find this bizarre. First of all, for those of you who don't know who Daddy Yankee is, because he's not big anymore. He was big back when he was out 100 years ago when they had him on Bold and the Beautiful. He's a reggaeton star from Puerto Rico. He sings in Spanish. He sings reggaeton. I find it hard to believe that all these white kids were Daddy Yankee and reggaeton. I mean, I know why Bold and the Beautiful did it, because like he was like a hot big thing, but it was just so weird seeing everybody in the show, even the adults. Ooh, Daddy Yankee! And I was just like, this is so stupid. And like they literally had him on, but like they barely show him like singing his songs. Like, usually when you have the guest star, like you give them some airtime where they're actually performing. No, the camera would like put him on for a second, and then it would pan to whatever drama was going on. I'm like, we're not going to let this Puerto Rican speak and sing. Let's just keep going with the camera. I was like, why even have him on? I was like, and like nobody knows his music. Like, it's just like, that was like a bizarre choice. I just found it so hard to believe that Hope was excited that Daddy Yankee was performing at a party. Daddy Yankee performing at a party, the high school party. I was just like, and then it was like the most bizarre high school party, like graduation, like everybody was wearing masks. Like, really kids do, like, it just was really bizarre. But the thing that I really want to stress, what I really just, there were a couple of things in that episode that I stressed. First of all, I would never understand why certain people and certain things don't click. Because one of the things that I loved about that era, Bold and the Beautiful, I did love Kim Mama Machuda, whatever her last name was, who played Hope. She's my favorite Hope. Yeah. That time, they also had a great little family. They had Rick Hurst playing Whip. And if I'm not mistaken, Sarah Brown was his sister, Agnes. That was a horrible character name. No offense to anybody out there really named Agnes, but, it is kind of like a dated kind of name. But anyway, and then they had, I hope I'm remembering his name right, Zach Conroy, who played Oliver. And he was on the show for a couple of years, and I'll never understand how he never became a big. So you talk about why I hate Chase, and this is why. Because I don't understand how Chase is popular, but Zach Conroy never blew up on daytime. Because yes, he is gorgeous as fuck, but he can actually act. And I'm saying this because I actually was on set with him when he first got his first gig on soaps with Guiding Light. He was Philip Spaulding's son, James Spaulding. And if ever there was a perfect casting look, it was him being Grant Alexander's son. You totally bought it. And he was really so great on Guiding Light. It was such a shame that Guiding Light got canceled because he would have gone on to really be really big on that show with that role. I was like, wow, they actually hired somebody that was good looking and can act. So I was always disappointed that Bold and the Beautiful didn't utilize him properly and make him, you know what I mean? And then they quickly wrote off even Sarah Brown, and she was on this episode. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. She's on the episode talking about she's a big Daddy Yankee fan. I don't believe for 1 minute that she's a big Yankee fan. I really don't. So in the episode, there was a mistaken thing because he was supposed to be meeting Hope, who was a virgin, and he meets who he believes is Hope. And he actually has sex with her. She doesn't let him take off the mask. She does not let him take off the mask. And he actually has, it's just really nasty it's just because whose first time is going to be in the hallway of this club and you're just going to let him lift your skirt up and he's just going to whip it out and stick it in. No kissing, no nothing. Right. That's her. You honestly believe that that's how she wants her first time she's a virgin? You know what I mean? I don't buy that. Come on, dude. Honestly. So he does it because he thinks it's Hope, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to get some, you know? Right. And it's and then it's just so ridiculous because dude, that can't be Hope. What would, I don't get it. The writers sometimes is you really are pushing me to believe this. So then at the end of the party, he's all happy because he got his rocks off. And when he goes to the staircase, Hope comes down without her mask. She's like, hey, dude, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, And then he turns around, and in comes the woman, in the same dress, with the mask, coming, and he's seeing the necklace. And it is Hope's necklace. He even asked her, where's your necklace? And the person's wearing Hope's necklace, and he's just looking, and the camera was so funny because it kind of zoomed in, and his face was getting full of horror, and off comes the mask, and who is it? But Hope's mother, Brooke.
See,
this is why Brooke is a hoe to me. This is why Brooke is a hoe. This is the second time that she slept with one of her daughter's men. She's a hoe. She's not Reva Shane. She's not any of these other people. They're all just popular. This is what you call a hoe. Because she slept with a whole family of men. She sleeps with her daughter's men. I mean, that's I can't with that character. I was I did not know that she slept with Oliver. I knew that she slept with the other daughter. What's her name?
Bridget.
Bridget's man. But I'm and then I keep forgetting about all the men that Brooke has had. Brooke's a hoe. I'm sorry. She really is. She really is. I thought that was disgusting. It was just and how you not gonna know that that's not a virgin? It's supposed to be her first time.
Right.
And it's it's Brooke. I don't want to be all gross, but you know what I'm thinking. And I mean, it's just right. As Joan Rivers would say. Joan Rivers I miss me some Joan Rivers. She had this really raunchy joke. I can't say it. But that joke is what I'm thinking of when I think of Brooke. I'm how did you not know that wasn't Hope? Come on.
Oh, I know the joke you're talking about.
And I'm and how does Brooke not know that that's not Ridge?
Right.
It's just first of all, it was probably hard as a that alone should have been a clue. Damn, it's not salt at all. I'm sorry, I'm taking this down so bawdy. I'm so bad. But it's things like that I think about when I'm watching it. I'm I don't buy this. Right. So then we ended the week Friday with an episode that I was does Ned Quartermain know that Lois kidnapped his brother Dylan?
That's right.
That's all I was thinking about as I was watching Friday's episode. I'm like, yes. For those of you who don't know, Rita Sofer, who plays Quinn, played Lois Cirillo Quartermaine, Ned Quartermaine's wife, and the sexy man who plays. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his real name and his character name for some reason.
His name. God, I'm blanking on his name too.
Oh my God, Lord,
Dylan.
I'm getting older.
Not Dylan. I called him Dylan. His name isn't Dylan.
Liam. His name is Liam. Scott Clifton. Scott Clifton, who plays Liam, it was the original Dylan Quartermaine as an adult on General Hospital. So for me, watching them, it was just so weird because all I kept seeing was Lois and Dylan. And it was a bizarre episode and a bizarre storyline. And he had amnesia. She was pretending that they were together, but she actually seemed to really love him and wanted him to be with her. And meanwhile, her son is his half-brother. Right. And so his half-brother is there trying to understand why his mom kidnapped his half-brother and is like sleeping with him. And she's like, because she did it because she wanted to keep him away from Stephanie. And see, and this is so what's wrong with Bold and the Beautiful is that all these characters have slept with each other. It's like, and they're all like sort of related, and it's just kind of gross at this point. It was just like, I was just like, this is why this show's nasty.
Especially since they're in LA. There's a ton of people asleep within Los Angeles.
I mean, yeah, it's like they become obsessed about this thing. But I will say this, Scott Clifton, oh my God, he is like sex on a stick. That is one sexy man. Oh my God, that episode Friday, I was like, I had to take a cold shower after that. He just looked so damn fine. I was like, good, God bless him. He is, oh God, why does he have to be straight? And I remember being on the set with him at One Night to Live, and he's very nice guy, so nice. And I got to tell you, remember I was telling you about that nasty actress on One Night to Live?
Yes,
she was nasty with him too. That's what I'm saying. The problem isn't them, girl. It's you, because you're nasty to two of the nicest guys on One Night to Live.
And I think I know who you're talking about because this character was also on another soap, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about.
And it's a show that's still on air.
Yes.
And it's the only show on that network.
Right, yes. I know exactly who you're talking about.
These are the days of our lives.
I know
exactly
who you're talking about.
So we leave that to go to Genoa City, and Genoa City was a little disappointing this week.
Except I did not know that Julie Williams,
yes,
Days of Our Lives was on Young and The Restless.
You didn't know that?
Julie, no.
Yes, she played Lauren's mother. She played. Yes, she played Lauren's mother for a couple of years on that show.
Oh, because I was like, Julie, what are you doing here?
Well, I think I don't know if I mentioned this on the Bold and the Beautiful. I don't know if I mentioned this on our last podcast, but William Bell, the creator of Bold and the Beautiful and Young and the Restless, wrote for Days of Our Lives when Susan Seaforth Hayes was playing Julie. And so he brought her on as Joanna on Young and the Restless as Lauren's mother. And then when he created Bold and the Beautiful, he actually created the role of Stephanie for her. Whatever reason, she turned it down. And then he offered the role to what's her name? Susan Flannery. Because for those of you who don't know, Susan Flannery was Jennifer Horton's mother, Laura Horton. She played Laura Horton back in the day when the show was really big and Laura's character was really big. So he brought Susan Flannery on to take over the role, but he originally he created it with Susan Seaforth Hayes in mind. And yes, it was fabulous seeing her on Young and the Restless. I loved watching her on Young and the Restless. I was so happy when she was working on that show because I missed seeing her as Julie on Days.
And I couldn't see her as Stephanie, actually. I couldn't. You know,
well, I think you can't really see her now because Susan Flannery really made that role her own. You know what I mean? You have to remember that if Susan Seaforth Hayes would have been playing it, she would have been the original Stephanie. It would have been a different Stephanie than we know, but it would have been her own, you know? Right. But I think it's one of those kind of things where right now the character's kind of iconic. You know, Susan Flannery made Stephanie a really iconic character on that show. So, yeah, you can't kind of picture anybody else doing it now.
Right. True.
And yeah, so I got to say, yeah, I mean, Young and the Restless was kind of, I mean, it wasn't horrible. There was some, you know, that episode was great because it was a classic episode, so I did enjoy that episode. I enjoyed seeing Victor's brother. Remember Victor's brother?
Yes.
Oh, he was hot. I don't know why they ever got rid of him.
Which always cracked me up.
I know, but he had that mustache. He looked like a Marlboro man. I always thought he was so
his name is
hot.
Matt, right?
Matt, yes. Matt Newman. And just like Victor, he had the hots for Ashley and Nikki. And it was a classic episode. So between them and seeing like Joanna with John Abbott, I was happy with that episode. And then I gotta tell you, I'm kind of drawing a blank on the other two episodes.
Did Michael propose to Lauren? Like Michael proposed to Lauren?
Yes, it was Romance Week. That's what we were seeing. The episode when Michael proposed to Lauren was okay. I mean, it was cute. It was all right. I can't say that I've seen better. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. Like I wouldn't say it was horrible, but I've seen better proposals and better for something that's called Romance Week. I think I think you should really pick out like the really powerful romantic episodes. That was just kind of like, all right. Right. And I think that was that the episode that because there was one of the episodes where they showed JT, which again, I'm sorry, I'm always gonna hate what happened with JT because I used to love the character JT. Right. Because I used to love the actor who played him. God, he's gorgeous. And they had an episode where JT was dealing with that Mackenzie who was old enough to be his mother. That was so weird. I was just like, I really don't like her. She's not that great. But, you know, through the week, we got to see all our favorites again. We got to see Katherine Chancellor. We got to see our beautiful Christophe St. John. So, you know, it's always good watching these classic episodes. Now, they did end the week on Friday. They did end the week Friday with a very bizarre episode, and all I kept thinking to myself was, why is Laura and Lulu in France at this wedding with people they don't know? It was really bizarre watching Jeannie Francis and Emmy, what's her name? She changed her name. Yeah, Emmy Ryland. And because they obviously, this was before they were together on General Hospital as Laura and Lulu. And it was so weird. I didn't realize that their time on Young and the Restless crossed paths like that. So it was really weird watching them on this. Right. And I'm like, Laura and Lulu, what you doing in France?
We're on vacation.
So that was a little weird. But what was even more weird was the fact that this was the period where Young and the Restless had ABC royalty on their shows, and they didn't utilize them properly
at all. Because they had Debbie Morgan.
It was that's what I was going to say. They had Debbie Morgan, they had Darnell, they had Jeannie Francis. They got all these big name ABC stars. I mean, you're talking about you got Jesse, Angie, and Laura Weber on your damn show, and you don't know what to do with them. You need to get fired.
Seriously.
I mean, it was really pitiful that they did not maximize and I'm sorry, Jeannie Francis, this is just proof. That was a horrible storyline and a horrible character, but Jeannie Francis gave me life with that character because, you know, I was tuning in for her at that point. I was like, when I heard she was coming back, I was like, I'm back to watching and the rest of this because Jeannie's on. And Jeannie's the kind of person, she doesn't do shit half-assed. She is going to give you Emmy performance, and it was evident Friday. She was there at Kane, because Kane did not want her at the wedding. She played Kane's mother, his biological mother. And she was there giving you Stella Dallas, girl. She was there watching them get married, and she was with the tears and everything, and Jill's looking at her like, that bitch. And I was like, you work, Jeannie. You give that freaking Stella Dallas performance. She was like, I was like, work. This is why she is no longer the princess, but the queen of daytime right now. I was like, yes, Jeannie Francis, yes.
Yeah.
So Young and the Restless, what a mistake it was to let you go. Because you know why she was let go from Young and the Restless?
Why?
Because Jill Farron Phelps became the executive producer. And we all know that Jill Farron Phelps seems to have an issue with women. Yes. This woman, every time she comes on, and she's the one who fired Jeannie from General. So the minute I heard she was taking over Young and the Restless, I bet you anything, Jeannie's not going to even be on there anymore. And that's what happened. Right. And Debbie Morgan, I don't even know why Debbie accepted that role. That was just such a degrading role for Debbie Morgan. I'm sorry. It's just like, this is, and I'm not saying, let me rephrase that because I don't want people to take it the wrong way. I'm not saying that this character doesn't exist. I'm not saying that all I'm saying is that to have Debbie Morgan come on playing this kind of stereotypical character was a little insulting. Right. I'm sorry. I felt that way. And I wasn't the only one. There was a lot of people that had a lot of issues with that character. You know, she played Devon's mother, who was an ex-drug addict, and she was just giving like a very 1970s performance of a black woman. You know what I mean? Like it was very like, and I remember that there was a big controversy because at one point they had her call Phyllis Miss Phyllis. And people were not liking that at all. Seeing this black woman calling this white woman. And again, you know, there was that back and forth because some people were like, well, it is. And yes, it is true that because my friend Debbie does, but when she calls somebody Miss something, it's usually somebody who's older, not somebody who's your age or younger. Right. She would never call a peer that. And I think that's where the problem came out.
And call somebody Miss somebody, but not.
Yeah. It's just like, who is Phyllis for her to be calling her Miss Phyllis? You know what I mean? Right. So, I gotta say, and the thing is, like, why couldn't her character be beyond that? Why couldn't her character was supposed to have gotten her shit together and not, you know, so if she's that, why does she have to still be sounding like she, like, you know, ratchet? Right. You know what I mean? Like, it was just really, I have to say, I didn't care for it. I was just like, And then it was funny because as I'm watching her with Christophe St. John, I'm like, they played brother and sister on Generations. Right, when she was Chantal. When she took over the role of Chantal. Yes, she was Chantal. She left all my children for Generations. So I don't know.
Because she was on the cover. I remember because it was on the cover of Soap Opera Weekly. Like, it was a big deal.
Well, it was a big deal. I mean, she was literally in the middle of a hot storyline on My Children. They had finally put her with Cliff. Right. They put Angie with Cliff, and of course, fans were not, because this was like the 80s. Fans were not having that. Right. They were not down with the swirl back then, and they got a lot of hate mail for that. And you know, and they were two very popular characters who were involved in other. You know, you're talking about Cliff and Nina, Jesse and Angie. Right. I personally thought they had chemistry. I liked it.
Oh yeah,
I liked when they put. I was totally buying that. I was like, you go,
Angie,
girl.
She was not. They replaced her with a different Angie, who I felt sorry for the actress just because I'm like, you can't replace Debbie Morgan unless unless you're like Meryl Streep or something. Like, you got to have your choice.
Her name was Sandra Quartermain. It was she did go on to play in that show. What was that show on ABC with
Cooper.
She was on that. I gotta say, I felt really bad for her because she, for those of you who don't know, she actually can act. The problem wasn't that, it just was the fact that she wasn't right for the role of Angie. You know, she didn't have chemistry with Peter Bergman. And she just wasn't right for the role of Angie. I mean, like, she's a great actress. Right. It's, you know, replacing somebody, it's very tricky. It's very tricky. And she kind of was like, almost kind of the exact opposite of Debbie Morgan. So it really didn't work. And I think that's when they brought on, what's his name, the cop for her. Derek. I think Derek was involved with Angie first.
Yes.
Yeah. I felt like she got a raw deal. She got a raw deal. It's almost like, do you remember the redheaded Nina? When they brought Nina back and she had amnesia?
Yes,
they brought Nina back and she had amnesia, and she was played by this big-chested redhead. And it was like, again, you're not a horrible actress, but you're not Nina. You're not right.
You're no Taylor Miller.
Even Heather Stanford got a lot of grief. That was the actress who replaced Taylor Miller immediately.
Right.
And the fans were ruthless with her because she wasn't. The fans could be really evil. They were making fun of her looks. They didn't feel like she was pretty enough like Taylor Miller. Uh-huh. So they used to say some really harsh things about Heather Stanford. So fans could be evil, man. Let me tell you, they really can. They can't. So, Sandra Quarterman got a raw deal, and as Angie, and Young and the Restless really didn't utilize Debbie Morgan, and that's how we ended our week at Young and the Restless. I mean, again, always great to see these older characters, people that are no longer. It was great to see Danny Romalotti, who I used to love, Michael Damon. It was great seeing like all these characters that we haven't seen and these actors that we haven't seen. I will say, what's his name was on an episode, Keith Hamilton Cobb, and his hair looked a lot better.
Noah?
Remember I was telling you about telling you how his hair looked really bad on one of those episodes? He was on another episode this week, and his hair actually looked really good. So I was like, okay, so it was just that episode that his hair didn't look great. But I still don't see him having any chemistry with Michelle Stafford.
No. So
that's the other thing that I realized. That's the other thing that I realized about General Hospital. I don't miss Michelle Stafford at all. I'm so glad that Cynthia Watros is playing that character. Oh my God, it's been so annoying watching like Nina with Michelle Stafford all these weeks on the soap. I'm like, wow. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on to our favorite soap now. Are you there?
Wait.
The days of our lives.
The days of our lives. Days of our lives?
We got to give them props because in their 140 years on the air, they never changed their theme song.
Well, okay, and I was going to say something about that. Okay, one of the things that I realized, because remember how I was saying that I was in a donut hole with General Hospital? Mm-hmm. One of the things that annoyed me the most is when I came back, they totally changed their theme song, which was iconic, which you always you could associate it with General Hospital, and to just some nondescript theme song. And I think as a soap, you need a theme song, you need an iconic theme song. You should never change your theme song. That's what I think.
I agree with you.
And, okay, so One Life to Live changed their theme song, but then the other theme song that they changed it to, they kept it. And I don't care, you can jazz it up, you can speed it up, you can slow it down, sure. But you need the theme song where, if you hear 2 bars of it, your soap is coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of reminds me of when the Procter and Gamble soaps were going away. So it's Guiding Light, Another World. They changed all of their theme songs, and it was almost kind of okay, here's the beginning of the end. Because they kind of they took these powerful theme songs and kind of neutered them, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good for Days of Our Lives. They've never changed it, ever. Since 1965. What did you think about this week?
Yet again, banner week in Salem. I was enjoying myself. I'm really enjoying my time in Salem right now. I thought this is the kind of thing of how to do a soap opera right. I'm not saying it's perfect, but this is how you do a soap opera right. I mean, there were so many juicy things. I mean, first off, Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, I'm sorry, they are giving me life.
Yes.
Gwen and Claire inside the insane asylum, those are some of the best things. And again, I'm coming off of watching weeks and months of horrible shit on General Hospital. So to actually watch something like that, where the writing's really good, that it's character driven. For those of you who don't know, Claire found out that Sierra is going to get married. So she now wants out, and she's convinced Marlena to release her. What everybody doesn't know is that her best friend in the insane asylum is Jake's missing girlfriend, Gwen.
Yes, who they're looking for.
Who he's looking for. And she purposely let them think that she's crazy just so she can get away from Jake and whoever else is chasing them down.
Right.
And I got to tell you, those scenes were hysterical. Because Gwen is not crazy, but she knows that Claire's pussy.
Right.
And it was a very cat and mouse thing between the two of them. And I was just living. The girl that plays Claire has grown so much as an actress,
yes.
and she was working those scenes with Gwen. I'm sorry. This is the way they're introducing Gwen. That's the kind of shit Agnes Nixon would have done.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm loving it. That's exactly what I thought. This is the kind of shit Agnes Nixon would have done. And I hope that Ron plays his cards right, and he keeps this Gwen character is very interesting. The actress playing her used to be on Young and The Resteless, and I could see this character messing around with a lot of people on the canvas. I could see her with Brady. I could see her with Xander. It's that kind of character that is a wild card, you need characters like this, and I hope they don't mess it up because she's interesting. I want to know more about Gwen, and I want to see Gwen insert herself into Salem.
Because this is what I love. I love a crazy. I love a bad girl. A crazy, so I'm loving Claire. Bad girl, so I'm loving Gwen. And quirky, because the thing is I like about Gwen is she's kind of quirky as well. And you could just tell she's trouble. She's she's got the vibe of a Delia or, or a Tina.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
But I loved the fact that Claire, she fooled everybody. She fooled everybody.
Well, I think it's not, and I don't even think that Claire's trying to fool people. I think that her heart's in the right place. I don't think that she purposely, I hope not. I hope she's not crazy and still wants to kill Sierra. But yeah, I don't think she's definitely ready to come back. I think she still has issues.
I think she's crazy because I think the key to a crazy person is the crazy person doesn't think they're crazy. They don't think they're crazy.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Well, I will say this about her. She was the voice of reason, though, this week. When she was defending herself to get herself out of there, her scenes with Marlena, I was like, Claire Brady, voice of reason. Because the first thing she threw in her grandmother's face was like, so it's okay that Ben's out there,
right?
But I'm not. And I was like, thank you. Right. Thank you. Because again, we will talk about this to ad nauseum. I'm sorry. How the hell is Ben running around town? Why is Sierra in love with him? Right. It is ridiculous. And I was so glad that Claire brought that up. Because you should have heard Marlena defending it. No, but you can't stay. Because even what's her name? Belle had the same issue with her mother, and she told her, she's like, are you comparing her to Ben? She's like, if Ben is and that's the whole thing, is why are these two characters the only people that realize that this psychopath who killed people is running around town?
Who killed a bunch of people, not just one.
And Marlena's like, oh, but he's done the work. And so he did it, and if he did it, why can't Claire?
Right.
And that was their whole point, and that's why Marlena eventually gave in. But I was living for those scenes. I'm sorry. Claire's like a breath of fresh air. Claire and Gwen were magnificent. I was loving them.
The thing is that I'm thinking this is going to be a good summer on that show. This is it, because they introduced Sammy's daughter, Allie. Who?
I was going to save that for last. What did you think about Miss Allie Horton?
I think I think I'm gonna like her.
I gotta agree. I'm sorry. I was blown, and I know I shouldn't be speaking too soon, but as far as like first time introductions go, this girl nailed it. That's how you come on to a freaking soap opera. I'm sorry, but she was all there. No depth behind the eyes, no insecurity. She knew her character. I believed everything about her character. You know, sometimes when they bring a new person on, there's that awkward phase because you don't really get the chemistry. I believe that Eric was her uncle. I definitely believe that Lucas was her father. Yeah. Those scenes with her and Lucas, that was totally like that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how you make an entrance. Right. It's like, you're supposed to be his daughter. You're supposed to be this. Like, there was no awkwardness. She seemed to know everybody, who her relationship was with everybody, and she played off it. And she was great. She was doing her own thing. I mean, I was mesmerized by this girl all week, and I was living for her. And I said, thank God, because they have not had the greatest track record with casting younger actors and actresses. I remember that other Sierra. I was watching when that other Sierra was on, and I did like the first girl who played Jade, but they fired her and they replaced her with somebody that was awful. So, you know, this was when I was telling you that I actually thought Claire was actually good, because compared to those other two girls. And so to see them cast somebody that actually has the talent, because this girl this is where we're talking about future big daytime diva star. I don't think I've been this excited over an actress since Julie Berman as Lulu. Right. Honestly, a younger actress coming. I'm sure there is somebody else in between, but you know, that kind of impact, you know, because when Julie Berman came on as Lulu, it was like, whoa, you believe that she was Luke and Laura's daughter. I believe that this is Lucas and Sammy's daughter.
And the thing is, this is what I loved about this story. Everybody involved was true to their character. Because think about it, of course Kate would give her a credit card. Of course. Of course, you know, she'd hit grandma up for the credit card and Kate would give her and be like, spend as much as you want. Of course, she would be like, do not tell my mother. Of course, you know, because it's like, and I love the fact that people, like, when everybody was talking and they're like, well, it is Sammy. They're like, well, she's not wrong. It is Sammy, you know? And of course, Lucas would be kind of whiny about it because he's like a whiny, like everybody was true to their character. And even like the Nicole conflict where Nicole was like, uh-oh, I do want to take her in, but I've dealt with Sammy firsthand, so I know, like, you know, Sammy's probably going to be mad at me. And then, you know, Eric talking about how he lied to Sammy and Sammy put him in the hospital. It was great. And they delved into the history proper. Like, it was good. I really enjoyed it.
It was really excellent. I love, and that's the thing that I love too, is that everybody was involved. You know, everybody was involved. Everybody was a part of it. Like, they didn't leave out anybody per se. I'll get to that in a second. But I love the scenes. Like, it was so great when Lucas, because I'm sorry, I'm a big Lucas fan. I keep hating that they write him off, bring him back and write him off. Because if I was writing that show, he would be like front and center. Right. I've always liked the actor, and I'm sorry, I know I'm in a minority, but I actually like Lucas and Sammy. I'm team Lucas and Sammy. I'm not a big EJ fan. So I loved seeing him. I loved the scenes with him and Kate. You know, and that's what I'm saying. When you are utilizing these characters right, and you're bringing like this girl on, and you're utilizing her family right, it was just so good to see Kate and Lucas together, and their scenes were really funny and stuff. And you need that balance on a show. The show cannot be all one thing. That's the beauty of soap operas. Soap operas can give you everything. They can give you drama. They can give you comedy. They can give you social justice issues. You know what I mean? A soap opera has so many storylines, and it shouldn't be all one thing unless your show has a theme. Like, for instance, Edge of Night was a crime soap opera, but even Edge of Night had comedy storylines. You know, there were, even Edge and Night had storylines that were serious and storylines that were funny. So I enjoyed Allie's entrance into this show. I thought it was amazing. I thought the only thing that I didn't understand is when they were listing all the relatives that she could have gone to, what about her grandfather?
Right.
She could have called, is Roman still in town? Yeah. I have not seen. So, yeah, so they didn't mention him.
I get why she wouldn't, because Roman would snitch on her.
Maybe, yeah, I guess.
Roman would
That's
snitch.
True.
See, because she knows, like, because Eric, let's all be honest, Eric isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. So she knows that she could go and she could play him. She can play. Yeah. She could play Eric. She could totally play Kate. But Roman, he would snitch on her and send her back, for sure.
All right, that's a good point. I'll buy that. Buy that.
Or at least put her to work in like he'd make her work in like the diner or something.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, another thing, and I will give Ron credit for this because this is something that Ron used to do on One Life to Live. It was one of the things that I used to love that he would do. Ron would always have these kind of character, at least on One Life to Live, these character-driven moment scenes where two characters that kind of like normally don't always work together, all of a sudden are working together. And he did that twice this week, and I loved it. There was these scenes with Kate and Jack and Jennifer where Kate was trying to convince Jack and Jennifer to talk Steve, because Kate is like a dog with a bone, with this having Patch and Hope accept the key to the city. And I enjoyed those scenes so much. I thought I thought the three of them were acting their asses off. It was so funny, and it was typical Jack and Jennifer. That's the thing that I love too. I'm seeing the Jack and Jennifer that I grew up with. So I was living for those things. I was laughing my ass off the way they were looking at Kate and the way Kate was like, you know, like, why am I even wasting my time with you people?
Right.
And then the flip side was this incredible episode where Xander approached Jack for advice on how to get Sarah back. Very well written. The guy who plays Xander nailed it acting-wise. I mean, I was so engrossed with these scenes, and Matthew Ashford was just so good. And it was just so interesting that Xander, like, approached Jack for advice. And they literally spent the whole episode together talking about this, and Jack was, like, trying to give him good advice. And again, this is what happens when you are writing character-driven scenes. You get these kind of, like, great moments. It was worth the price of admission this week. I was so excited at, like, watching those scenes. I was like, what? I would have never thought.
Yeah.
What's his name? Rafe lost the believe it or not, he lost custody of the boy.
Which
Zoe
is
took him and left
realistic,
town.
actually.
Yeah, I get.
Well, here's the deal.
I guess.
Okay, so my husband and I are in the process of adopting, and we're adopting through the foster system. So that's like part of the things that we're doing. Like, we're frantically apartment hunting because we need like a bigger place. But here, and this is what they told us. So the whole goal of the foster system is to reunify a child with its family. So even if you get a child into your home, if they find out that the child has like a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, any blood relative, if they find out that the child has a blood relative alive, they have to approach the blood relative. And if the blood relative wants to take them in, the state makes you hand the kid over to them. And the only way that you can get the kid is if they have a living relative, is if the relative agrees that to sign over rights so that you could be the parent. So that's right on track with that. So, you know, the fact that
yeah, I mean, and Hope did explain that the judge had sympathy and realized that, and really believed Zoe. Well, Zoe was telling the truth. The reason she did it, that she held the gun on raising them, was only because she had no choice for her own child. So Hope, they did make a point of Hope saying that the judge was sympathetic to Zoe because of that. I just was like, with everything that Zoe did and her family did, like, it just seems weird to me. Like, you would think that Ruth would be the better choice. I mean, he is the head, police chief, but whatever. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Put it this way, like one of the examples that they give is, so, okay, we're not rich by any means, my husband and I, but, we do okay. So let's say that we had a foster child and the foster child's parents lived, or let's say the foster child had an aunt, and the aunt lived like deep in the hood, right? Mm-hmm. She would still get custody anyway, even though financially there'd be a difference. That doesn't matter. They'll still, if it's a blood relative, the blood relative gets the child, because what they say is our purpose is to reunify the child with its family. So that's why it makes sense that way.
Yeah, I get it. I know. It's just, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, though, that in the course of this, he was obviously heartbroken. And I got to tell you, he needs to stay in his own lane. Heavy drama is not his strong suit. That first, he did better with the second half of his performance in that episode, but that first half, I was just like, oh no, this is above your pay grade. Like you just do not have that talent. I mean, but it just, I was just like, it was so over the top. It was like, you needed to be watching that Y&R episode with Jeannie Francis. Right. Just because you're not giving me Stella Dalla, you're giving me overacting. But he did tone it down for the second half when it was just him and Hope in the apartment, and I actually felt I felt a little something. But yeah, that first half was cringe worthy. I was like, woo, you're pushing too hard. And then the other thing that I found very bizarre was Abe came to break the news to him that Gabby's missing, and then when he finds out, he tells Hope, well, it's not really that important. I don't know about you, Abe, but if my sister's missing, that shit's important to me. Yes. Especially as a Latino. I'm sorry, you do not play with a Latin person's family. Latin people are very about, we might not even be speaking to each other. We may be on odds, but if somebody is fucking with my cousin, you better believe I will be back there backing my cousin up, and I will beat somebody's ass down. Because the thing about a Latin family is like, yeah, I can say that because that's my cousin, but you can't say that. Right. So it's just like, I don't believe for 1 minute that Abe's like, oh, it's not that important, Hope. I'll tell him, when it becomes important. I'm like, she's missing. That's important. That's his sister. Like, I'm like, what? I was like, that's when you could tell a white person wrote that. That's funny. I was just like, because that's not the way Latinos would be handling things. I was like, what? So that was a little bit untrue. And then, of course, another thing that I found very weird was Sierra was all of a sudden overreacting about Gabby. Like, 3 weeks ago, she was like, I hate that bitch. And now all of a sudden, she's like, we got to do something. We have to do something, Ben. We got to call the police. Poor Gabby. And I'm like, you just were hating on her 3 weeks ago. What, now all of a sudden there's this concern? So I didn't buy that. I thought that was weird. that was that. And then Will thought he was Jean Grey from the X-Men. I was like, all Will kept saying was, I'm getting vibes. I'm like, I'm having vibes. I'm like, when did you become a mutant that you got vibes and you could sense something? Like, it was just so bizarre. Will was like really great on my nerves last week. He was like, it's so bizarre. I got vibes. I was like, what are these vibes? And then they had 2 flashbacks, and I had like post-traumatic stress syndrome from General Hospital. I was like, no flashbacks, please, no flashbacks. Right. I was like, but with all those little bizarre things, I still say Days of Our Lives is still ahead of the game. They're doing everything right. I'm enjoying so much my stay at Salem.
Now there's one more. There's one more storyline which I was about until I found out a spoiler, and I am all for it. So the storyline where Sarah is now going to, like, Sarah and Brady are pretending to be a couple. And so by the end of the week last week, Maggie was like, or someone was like, okay, I see through this whole thing. And so Sarah on Friday basically decided that she and Brady needed to like ramp it up and kind of ramp up their pretending. So to take it to the next level. And at first I was like, about it until I found out a spoiler. And I was like, okay, no, this is good. It's going to be good. So.
Yeah. No, it was Maggie. Maggie said the wrong thing to her. You know, your mothers can never win. You know, I mean, there wasn't anything wrong in what Maggie was saying to Sarah. She was actually giving her good advice, but Sarah's not in a place to hear it. Basically, Maggie was telling her that when Brady's like this, he's not good to be around. And being that they're both hurting, they're not good for each other. So, of course, what happens when you tell your child something like that? Your child is determined to prove you wrong. So now she's on a mission to hook up with Brady just to prove her mother wrong.
Right.
You know? And it's just like issues. But that's great writing. That's character-driven stuff. See, this is why I'm feeling Days of Our Lives right now, because I'm seeing a lot of you know, character-driven, character-motivated story. You know, it's not all plot-driven. It's like, you know, and also again, this feeling like this show is going somewhere. You know what I mean? One storyline ends, another storyline begins, one storyline leads into another storyline, and there's all these different things that are happening, and you don't know where the turn is going to happen. You know, like you just don't, like we don't know what the outcome is of Jake. Is Jake Stefan? Is he Stefan's long-lost twin brother? Who knows? But that's the fun.
Right.
That's what's missing on General Hospital. On General Hospital, we know exactly where they're going.
Right.
And it's always the most dumb, predictable route, you know? Right. So it's just like, so let us go across the pond.
Yes.
To our British soap operas that end on a high note. Because in case you guys haven't been listening, I'm all about the British soap operas. Right. I really am. Right. Coronation Street was on fire last week.
Okay, and so I've got to give you a little background. So first of all, writers of General Hospital, you need to get BritBox, you need to sit down, and you need to start from last year, and you need to watch a year's worth of Coronation Street, because this is how you do an umbrella story. So, Jordan, what you don't know is a couple of years ago, the super couple on the show was a lesbian couple. And she was, I believe, one of the women was Muslim. One of the women was a white woman. And actually it was Yasmin's, because at one point Yasmin had a grandson on the show as well. And the story was, her grandson was married to this woman. This woman realized that she was gay, broke off with what was his name? Zidane, broke up with Zidane. And then it was the story about how she got together with a woman who was out. And so basically this was going to be, finally they were getting married. It was going to be this big, humongous wedding. They were fan favorites. But what happened is, so one of the main jobs in the town in Weatherfield is a factory. And a lot of characters work at this factory. And the factory was owned by the Connor family, namely Carla. And you saw Carla working behind the bar, right? Right, Jordan?
No, I know who Carla is. I remember I watched Coronation Street before, so I know about Carla and the factory.
Okay, so what happened is there's a character named Gary on the show. And so Gary was in financial trouble. And so what Gary did is Gary was in financial trouble because he owned these loan sharks, right? So what Gary did is Gary was he's a contractor, and so he was working on the factory, but what he did in order to get extra money is he purposefully did shoddy work so that he could go back and say, hey, Carla, you need this fixed too, and to go back and basically, he thought Carla would say, okay, go in and fix this, and he'd get his extra money that he needed. But what happened is Carla blew him off. And so what ended up happening is the factory literally fell down. The building fell down, killed the woman who was supposed to get married. This big, huge storyline. Carla felt guilty. Carla had a psychotic break. Meanwhile, Gary ended up with the loan shark. Gary ended up killing the loan shark, hiding the body. The body has not been found yet. And so why I'm bringing that up is, so now, one of the first things that happened is Gary killed the loan shark and he became a loan shark. So now Gary, the redhead guy, is a loan shark. But what he did is he felt so guilty about killing the loan shark because the loan shark's daughter, like the loan shark was divorced and the loan shark was sending the daughter to private school. So Gary felt guilty about it. And so he started paying for the girl's education. And then it turns out that the mom was actually spending the money. And so Gary goes, threatens the mom leaves town and leaves the girl there. And another thing that happened, and why I'm bringing this up is, so Carla was so guilty from the factory falling down, she had a psychotic break. And the character like disappeared for like a month. And this was like, I think a year, almost 2 years ago. Cut to now, the repercussions of the factory is now the new storyline that's starting up. Because one of the things is, so Carla basically stepped away from the factory after this. They found her, she's mentally together, just decided to basically simplify her life. And so this woman, it starts out, this new character comes to town, Chelsea. And so it starts out, she goes into the cabin, which is the magazine stand, and she basically makes up this story. Kathy gives her some money because she said she needed like $10 or something. Kathy, even though like the characters, they knew that she was lying, they gave her the money anyway. And so she goes into the bar, she goes into the pub. Brian, who was with Kathy when she borrowed the money, caught her, was gonna give her a hard time. Kathy was like, no, let's go. But it turns out this woman knows Carla. And she knows Carla. Carla doesn't remember her, but the woman is from that missing month that she was gone. So this is good storytelling. This is like, because we never knew what happened to her. And they found her like squatting and stuff. And so the fact that they're bringing it back around, and then with Gary, they're bringing it back around because now the little girl who he was paying for her education, her mother left her. And so Paul and Billy, the gay couple, took her in. And so now that's coming back as well. Okay, I've lost my train of thought.
No, you're making total sense. It's all new storylines that like you said, I didn't know all the back history. I could piece certain things together, and I'm enjoying it because it's like I said, it's interesting and it's building up, and everything you're saying is making sense. Don't worry, you're on track. It's all coming together. Everything. In other words, what you're trying to tell them is that these, I don't want to call them lingering plot lines, but it's just, like you said, good writing is when you have these storylines and you're going somewhere with them. And it seems that the British soap operas are really good at using history properly. And that's something that American soap operas have really lost the knack for.
Yeah.
Because when you, in other words, American soap operas have gotten to the point where they do a lot of what we call deconstruction. In other words, they're not, instead of building on what's already there, they keep chipping away at the history and just rewriting it, basically. You know, it's like for instance, Luke never really loved Laura. You know, I'll still never forget that horrible episode where Luke was telling, I think he was telling Tracy that he didn't want another baby. He didn't want Lulu. That's a lie. I watched General Hospital when he found out Laura was pregnant. So it's just stuff like that. And the British soap operas, they don't do that. What they do is they just keep building on what's already been established, and they keep moving forward. And these characters evolve. Right. And that's what we're seeing right now. Is we're seeing these they're picking up with these storylines and I got to tell you, for those of you who keep saying that General Hospital has a big cast, I'm sorry, these British soap they have like 1 million. Every time I think I've seen like almost everybody, I'm introduced to new characters. Yeah. So it's just like, and somehow these soap operas that only have like 20 minutes per episode are able to tell stories with all these characters and there's never any kind of like downtime, you know, or anything that seems forced or weird. Because the thing too is that I've noticed that almost every episode is written by a different person, and that again is an incredible thing, because all these writers are different, and yet the tonality of the show stays the same, and the character stays the same. Yeah. Which again, you're watching General Hospital, and one episode the character sounds totally different than they did the episode before. So it's an amazing, the British soap operas are really banging it out. And you're absolutely right. They should be taking notes, because for me, the Yasmin storyline this week, oh my God. For those of you who heard me say that this is like Agnes Nixon, that's what this storyline is giving me. This is giving me Agnes Nixon vibes. I was riveted with Yasmin this week. Yes. This was the week where Yasmin's storyline was front and center. Her granddaughter went to go, you know, try to talk some sense into her because of the fact that, like, she is scared that she's just going to accept it and plead guilty. And it was some of the most riveting stuff, writing-wise. And while this was going on, we had to see her lousy-ass husband still trying to play people and play the victim. And it's, like, countering, going back and forth. But the scene that had me the most was when Yasmin confessed to her granddaughter these things that she didn't know, some of the horrible things that this man has did to her. And one of the things was he actually killed her, I guess, pet chicken. Because
she has a bunch of chickens, and she loves these chickens, and they're like backyard chickens, and it's like a character thing that's almost like that she's known for it. And because she always brags about her fresh eggs and her chickens. And the chickens have been a part of the character since the character has been on the show.
Yes, and this psychopath killed her favorite one and served it for dinner, and didn't tell her until after she had, like, taken a bite and said, this is good. Yeah. And it shows you what a depraved human being. What is the husband's name again?
Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, what a psycho he is. So as she's telling her granddaughter all of this, Alia, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Alia starts crying. And Yasmin goes, no, don't cry. Why are you crying? And she says, because you're not. And I was done. I was done. When she told her grandmother, because you're not, I was done. I was a mess. I was like, oh my, it was so, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was that kind of like powerful writing and powerful. They were so good. Bottom line is that just in classic soap opera style, the episode ended with the judge asking her what her plea is. And she kind of like stood quiet, and then they picked up the next day right from where they left off. And she started flashbacking to everything, like some of the things that happened to her, the way he treated her. And then she answered not guilty, and everybody took a sigh of relief. And I was like, yes, I was screaming to tell her, yes, you go, Yasmin. You're going to stand up for yourself. This is some powerful freaking stuff, people. And the reason it reminds me of Agnes is because I remember early on. This was All My Children in its heyday. I'm sorry, nobody could touch All My Children those first 15 years. First 15 is like perfection. There was an incredible storyline where they introduced this character who was a neighbor to Ruth and Joe. Her name was Lenore. I think it was Lenore or Leora or something like that. She was an abused wife. And Joe got involved with her. He wound up, unfortunately, having an affair with her. But and as a little child, because I was really little, I remember that damn storyline. And it's, again, Agnes was ahead of her time. She was tackling issues. This was the 70s, daytime. And here this woman was dealing with a storyline about spousal abuse.
Yeah.
Okay? And here we are, 2020, and Coronation Street is doing almost the same thing, except they heightened it. And I don't think they heightened it in a bad way in the sense of glamorizing it. It's like when you look at the headlines today, there's some crazy shit going on. People are really, and so none of this is out of the realm of possibility, and I will say this, sometimes emotional and mental abuse is even worse than physical abuse, because you know what, physically you can heal, but emotionally, mentally, those wounds can stay with you your entire life.
Yep.
So the stuff that this guy is doing to this woman and the way he's beating her down, I'm just riveted by the performances, by the writing, by the acting. If you love soap operas, you need to be watching Coronation Street, because this storyline is not over, not by a long shot. And I cannot wait to see that motherfucker get his justice, because he is the
and what I like is all of the women are siding with her. Like, all of the women in the town are like siding with her, and I love that.
Yes, one of the scenes that I loved was when his son was with his coworker, and he was Eileen, and she basically, because she was trying not to go there. See, I love when people are like that. He didn't ask for her opinion. First of all, he wasn't even working. He's just hanging around there, just talking about this to her. And she was like, yeah, I got to get back to work. This is blowing up. Maybe you should head out. And like, he couldn't take a hint. He was just like, oh, why are you trying to get rid of me? He goes, that didn't like light up and stuff. And then she was like, well, if you're going to stay and you're going to talk about it, she goes, did you ever think that maybe there's some truth to what she said? And he didn't like that. But it was like, well, you asked. You shouldn't have asked then. Right. You shouldn't have asked. And she didn't want to go there with you. She's trying to mind her own business. She's telling you to get the fuck out. And then you're still sticking around and wanting her opinion, and she don't agree with you. Right. She just don't. And she told him, and I love that she was honest, and she told him all that. She goes, look, I'm just saying, there's some times that your father's done some stuff that just like, and the son is just blind. He is literally blind to his father's flaws. And that's how this shit goes down, people. I'm telling you, I'm loving me Coronation Street.
And the daughter-in-law kicked him out of the house. Mm-hmm. Which is going to create conflict with them.
The daughter-in-law was not having it. She was not having it.
Sally.
Now, I got to tell you, I saw 2 weeks worth of Emmerdale.
Okay.
I love it. I hate to say this because I've only seen 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I do think that the cast of Coronation Street as a whole is more talented, in the sense that, like, everybody on Coronation Street's fabulous. I think on Emmerdale, there's a couple of people that I wouldn't say that they don't have talent. They're just very raw and green. There's some raw and green talent on Emmerdale. But I did love it. I did get into it. It wasn't like, oh, what is Les talking about? No, I was caught up in it, that week that I saw. But the second week blew me away. And I realized that they were having their MVPs the second week. Because Les mentioned this last week. The second week, they had 2 episodes that were pandemic episodes, where they were actually the characters were dealing with the pandemic. And both episodes focused on 2 characters that were in lockdown together. And I was literally like the first week I was like, oh yeah, this is interesting. This is entertaining. This is good. The second week blew me away. Like, I was just like, what the F is this? And I was like, American soaps could never do this because they don't know how to write like this. I was blown away. I was like, well, obviously Emmerdale was holding out because these are their MVPs because all the actors in those lockdown episodes were incredibly talented. I was blown away by the writing, the acting. This is where I get excited because this is creativity happening. Those episodes were brilliant. If this was in America, those are the episodes that you would submit for the best daytime Emmy, and you know what? You would win them hands down, and nobody could touch you. That's how good those episodes were. They did not shy away. I again, for me, soap operas are at their best when they are a reflection of what we're dealing with as a society, and they tackle these characters. Both episodes, the 4 characters were dealing with different things and different issues that we as people are dealing with now. So it was great to watch. It was great to see that I'm not alone, that all the fears and all that they were feeling it too. I mean, I was blown. It was brilliant. It was just so brilliant.
And so,
brilliant.
And so the way that Emmerdale is made up, the 2 core families on Emmerdale, well, there's a couple of them, but the major core families are the Dingles. The Dingles, which is like the core
I love that name.
Trashy family. Like they're trashy as hell.
And they're like there's like a million Dingles.
Yes. And then the Tates are the rich family. And Kim, and I didn't know if you watched that thing. I live for Kim Tate. Kim Tate.
Who?
So Kim Tate.
Is she the mother? Is she the mother who's the real estate person?
She's the blonde lady that lives, they didn't show her a lot the week before. Now, this is why I love Kim Tate.
Is she, I'm trying to know, Michelle, is she the mother of the guy who was cheating on his wife?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I was talking about, yeah.
Yes. And her claim to fame is her husband died. She put a mirror under his nose to check to see if there was like if it would fog up the mirror. After she realized he was dead, she redid her makeup. And I was over the dead body. She redid her makeup.
Lord have mercy.
So the first episode of the lockdown episode was Sam and Lydia Dingle. Now, those characters just got married. Lydia, there's a chance, because Lydia was, her character was put up for adoption and like grew up in a home. And her storyline actually last year was they were tearing down the building that the home was on because they had turned the home into a school. And they found dead baby bones. And it turned out that Lydia got pregnant while she was in school and had the baby, and the baby died, and she hid the baby and they found it. So she's just
Lord
coming out.
have mercy.
Yeah. And then she ended up meeting her birth family. And so the birth family, her father died of this disease called Huntington's disease, which is like I think it's like Parkinson's. Like it's
yeah.
Yeah. And so Lydia.
It's a real disease, unlike American soap operas that make shit up.
So Lydia has been tested for Huntington's disease and she's waiting for the results. So because of COVID, they made everybody leave the house and go find somewhere else to stay because she's at high risk. And so it literally showed them, and it spanned for like a month. That's what I liked about it. It spanned for like 30 days in their lives. And so the powerful thing about that is, they're both stir crazy. Sam's being very overprotective. But at the end, we find out why he's being so overprotective is the love of his life died of cancer. And so he's just so afraid and loves this woman so much that he doesn't want anything to happen to her. That's why he's acting the way he's acting. Yes, character driven. So, by the way, Emmerdale is normally 5 days a week, but because they're running out of episodes, they've literally cut their shows down to 2 days a week. So the second show was Kane and Aaron. And so Aaron is, the younger guy is gay. And what happened is he was married to this guy named Robert. And so Robert's sister got raped and became pregnant because of the rape and decided to keep the baby. And so Robert went and found the guy who raped his sister and beat the guy up, and the guy ended up dying. And so Robert has been sentenced to life in prison. And so once Robert went to prison, he ended up being transferred to a different prison and totally divorced Aaron, refused to speak to Aaron. And so Aaron was like distraught from this. And so what happened is with these two, Kane is the other guy, and Kane's story is Kane was married to this woman named Moira. The one that you saw the last week, the one with the woman talking about.
Yeah, I know. She's the one who has the far. Yeah.
And so basically, so basically this was basically like what Carly did when she first came into town. Kane's son, a hot black guy, came to town.
I know. Let me tell you, that's the one thing I love about Emmerdale. There is some eye candy on that show. I mean, when he came on, I was like, hello. I perked right up. I was like, give me my ticket to London now.
So he came in and wooed Moira. And like he got a job as a farmhand there, totally wooed her, totally slept with her. And then it came out that he's Kane's long lost son and he was doing this as revenge. And so their marriage is decimated and like destroyed. And so Aaron's dealing with the depression from Robert. Kane is dealing with the depression from Moira. And both of these characters are known for being like silent and uncommunicative, and they're stuck together in a house. And so Robert
and they're uncle and nephew.
Right. And so Robert had written Kane a letter, and Kane was worried about. Robert had written Aaron a letter, and Kane, in order to protect Aaron, took the letter and hid the letter. And so basically this whole story culminated in Kane realizes he's still in love with Moira. Aaron realizes he has closure with Robert and now he can move on with his life. Once again, character driven. And I tell you what, it's Monday, so I've already seen the Emmerdale episode for today. Jordan, all I'm going to tell you, today's episode, you're going to lose it.
Is it another pandemic episode?
It's another pandemic episode. And and it stars Mandy Dingle and Vinny Dingle.
There's so many damn Dingles.
And the reason why Mandy is, so back in the early 2000s, Mandy was the heroine of the show. And the reason why Mandy was so popular was because she was overweight then, she's overweight now, and they centered the show and she was like the character. She was like the heroine. She had men fighting over her. And it was like, at the time, it was considered like cutting edge that you're gonna give a heavy girl these amazing stories and have like men fighting over her. And, so the actress recently just came back to the show like a year ago. And she brought her son, Vinny, in tow. And what we found out before these, like in the regular episodes, we just found out, and he knows that Vinny actually isn't her son. But she's treating him like her son. And so today's episode was all about Vinny and Mandy, and it is, they would win daytime Emmys for sure.
Well, like I said, I'm looking for it because Emmerdale got me hooked. Like, I did enjoy the week before. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't that I wasn't. I actually found, like, again, just like Coronation Street, it was very down to earth storylines with character driven stuff. I just felt like as hot as he is, the guy who's cheating on his wife, he's not the greatest actor. Don't get me wrong. He is so pretty to look at. But and I'm not saying that he's like Chase. I do think that he has talent. I just think that, he's very green. And I don't know, there's this weird thing that he does where his mouth stays open after, like, he's not even speaking, but his mouth is kind of open and he just looks kind of weird. Like you're just like, close your mouth. Why is your mouth open like that? But I'm not gonna lie, he is stunning. I would tap that in a heartbeat. Like, he is one beauty. Like, I can understand why he's cast. He is beautiful. But like the one who plays his wife, she's not the greatest actress either. Andrea. And neither is little dimwit Dingle that's involved with
Belle. Belle Dingle, she's one of these that she's grown up on the show, and I think she's been on the show since she was like 7 or something. Now,
isn't she a Brooke Logan? She's a Brooke Logan, isn't she?
Yeah. No. Belle. No. Belle's more like Vicky and Nikki.
But she slept around, hasn't she?
Not a lot. It's unusual for this character to do this.
Well, you know what is real funny? I don't know if you realize, but BritBox has Emmerdale from day one. So I'm actually going to start watching it from day one. They actually have every single episode of Emmerdale.
Oh,
on BritBox, like from when the show started. So that's my mission this week. I'm gonna start watching like 1 or 2 episodes every day because I'm like, hey, if you have it, I'm gonna watch it. Why not? How many times do you get a chance to watch a soap opera from the freaking beginning?
Now, do you know the background of Emmerdale? Okay,
as far as it being a show about like a small village community that's farming, yeah.
So this is what happened. So Emmerdale basically pulled a Gloria Monty General Hospital. So Emmerdale was this show. It wasn't doing well. It was really boring. Nothing happened on the show. And then this producer came in and basically went buck wild, and now the show is like crazy. So it basically went from like this boring show, and they needed to jazz it up, and so they had an airplane crash into the town and killed half of the characters and made it bitchy and like, brought in the Kim Tate and all that stuff. So it had a total turnaround. So I'm curious to see what you think about like the beginning episodes, because it's not what it's like now. It wasn't not like that at all.
I'm gonna probably love it because I love slow paced character driven things. I'm probably gonna love it. I will say this: BritBox also has EastEnders, and we've had a request for us to also look at EastEnders. Would you be down for that? Because I'm definitely down.
Let's do it.
Huh?
Let's do it.
Well, because the thing is, I've watched EastEnders. We do have it here in New York. They do show it on WLIW, which is PBS's sister station here in New York, Channel 21. The reason that I didn't watch it because I didn't know where we were at. Like, it's just, I don't know. And I think somebody explained to me, I think they're showing it like we're getting like episodes like 10 years ago. The ones they're showing on WLI are not. And even now when I look at them, I'm like, this doesn't look modern at all. This looks like it's quite old. Not ancient, but it's obviously not from the last couple of years. So, but every time I did watch it, I'm like, it looks kind of good. But I'm curious to start watching it because I just read an article about the fact that supposedly the producers, supposedly fans have not been happy with the show, and the producers feel like all the storylines are horrible. So they're actually considering rebooting the show. because of the pandemic. In other words, destroying everything and starting all with new storylines. I'm fascinated with that. I would love to watch. I would love to watch what's going on now, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're changing the direction of the show. That's kind of crazy. So let's start watching
cool too, because I'm starting green. I'm starting fresh.
Oh, you've never seen EastEnders?
No.
Yeah, I like EastEnders. I can't deny it. The few times that I've caught it on WLIW, I'm always like, damn, I really should watch this. But you know what the thing was? That the night that they show it, it used to always conflict with, in DVR I can only tape 2 things. So the time frame they show it was always a bad time for me because I was already taping 2 other shows. That's why I couldn't do it every week. And they only show it on Tuesday nights, I think between 9 and 10. They show 2 episodes back to back. So, but I was like, oh, BrickBox has EastEnders. And it's funny. Hulu used to have Neighbors, and nobody seems to have Neighbors anymore. I love me some Neighbors. I wish that we were getting Neighbors.
So starting Monday, we'll add, a week from today, we'll add EastEnders into the mix.
Yay!
We have a new theme song.
We got a whole bit. So we're going to be reviewing 7 soap operas for you, 4 American and 3 British.
Right.
How's that?
Right.
How's that going? Well, this has been fun.
Yes. No, this has been great. I'm going to play the EastEnders theme so we can get used to this, everyone.
I like their theme.
You know what I like about the British soaps? At the end of the soap, like, every soap has a thing where, like, at the very end, there's, like, a little musical note before, and you know it's over. Like, Coronation Street, like, they'll say the line and it goes, like, da-da-da! I'm like, oh, it's over. And then, like, on Emmerdale, there's, like, they play, like, these, like a harp or something. Or like a wind thing. But, and then I guess, so EastEnders is supposedly like the gritty, like down and dirty soap.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like down, like it, I guess, goes there. Like really.
Well, now we'll find out. We'll find out.
Well,
all right. Well, this has been another fun. I cannot wait for next week.
Now,
these podcasts are making my life.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on our Facebook page, which is Soap Opera Love in the Afternoon. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you'd like us to talk about. We're still new, so we're still growing. So let us know, like, if there's something that you want us to talk about and focus on, let us know. And also,
or if you want us to drop a show,
right?
As long as it's not Days of Our Lives, right?
I could drop a show. General Hospital. I could drop a show.
Oh my. We're going to be in pain this week and next week. Do you know what General Hospital is doing this week and next week?
Oh, dear God, what?
This week is Sunny and Carly, and the next week is Jason and Sam. Who requested this? I don't know.
And it's probably not even Sarah Brown Carly.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's probably going to be all Frank. It's probably going to be all Frank Valenti episodes. So it's going to be something for the last couple of years. I can't. I'm so not looking forward to General Hospital this week. I like Laura Wright.
Don't get me wrong. I really like Laura Wright. But
if you're doing it, if it's called the Sunny and Carly week, then yes, it should be a reflection of all of Sunny and Carly's relationships, not just Laura Wright's Carly. Right. Because first of all, Laura Wright's character, her Carly is the Carly that's been involved with Sunny the least.
Yeah.
In comparison to the other two.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. But it's definitely going to be a chore to watch General Hospital the next 2 weeks. Oh, Carly and Sunny and Sam and Jason. Oh my God. Just put Tabasco sauce in my eyes, please. It'd be less painful.
Well, I better not wait and binge it. I better watch it all in real time then, because you know how.
Yes, you really. Yeah, I don't think anybody's strong enough to binge watch 5 episodes of Sunny and Carly and then 5 episodes of Jason and Sam. That's no one should be put through that torture.
Oh, Right. And do us a favor. If you like what you hear, give us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Give us a review. 5 stars. We'd love 5 stars. Anyway, it's been fun as always. And
All right.
I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye, lads. Bye, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.